Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, and what we're going to try and do here is uncover some of the guitar playing habits of Pink Floyd's David Gilmour. We'll be using 3 licks as case studies, and you can get a breakdown of how to play them with a tutorial using the little eye up there. So hopefully by the end of this we'll have at least a slightly better understanding of why his solos resonate with so many, and maybe be able to start to capture just a little bit of that magic for ourselves. And if you want to see more of this kind of thing in your feed, make sure to subscribe, enable all notifications, and join the rest of the Licks Quarterly. But first off, let's think about his note choice, or more aptly, his scale choice. We could think of this as, what is he doing? He's more or less going between these 2 pentatonic boxes. So just the first and second positions if you're familiar with your scales. Letting the kind of heavy synth and the overdriven guitars. Add in more flavours in terms of the harmonic context. And I'd say that's actually part of his approach. Instead of meticulously outlining the chords like kind of jazz or blues players might do, he's letting the band do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of harmony and almost sort of floating along the top of it. So what this all means is we get a much more modern rock sound from the implied B Aeolian mode. We have an A, a G, it's maybe a D in passing but it's just placed as an F sharp note, E major, and then a B minor. That's the kind of home of the key, that's where we're being pulled towards. Like, without those chords, this or something along those lines will sound a lot less like kind of prog or rock, and much more like blues. So I suppose takeaway number 1 would be this kind of blues-based licks but in a more like modern rock context. Okay, so what else can we garner from this? Well, let's take a look at how he plays the notes. We've got some slides, some bends, some quite big bends actually, like that 1.5 tone one there, and other small ones like that tiny little quarter tone bend there. Some short staccato notes, again a little bluesy bend, and some quite brash raking. All of those things add up to a much more vocal or expressive solo, more in this kind of dynamic playing with the little eye up there. So that's the what and the how, now the why. If you ask me, and I invite all contrary opinions down in those comments, what he's trying to do is capture the vibe of the song. Encapsulating the feeling he gets from the lyrics, from the vocal melodies, from the drums, the keys, bass, everything kind of funneled through his lead work. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch to hypothesize this is why his playing resonates with so many people. The solo is to further the song rather than just a vehicle for his own ego, which, let's face it, a lot of us are more than guilty of. This is a slightly more holistic twist on my usual kind of more theory and note choice driven format, so please consider dropping a like and a comment if you like this, and to show your support for the channel in our never ending uphill struggle against the recommendation system. Okay, well let's do a similar thing with this lick from The Wall Part 2. Rather than a chord progression, we've got this kind of funky vamp on the D. That ties into the song's overall, kind of funk disco aesthetic. And suitably here, his guitar sound has been toned down in terms of the gain, a pretty clean sound with a fair amount of compression. Compression being a very common effect in funk and disco music for guitar parts. It gives that kind of even, kind of squashed out sound. It really reduces the dynamics and keeps a part kind of punchier and tighter. And he's even echoing that funk aesthetic with the double stops in his solo, which does get even more expanded on as it, which I'm not covering in my tab here. But I mean, that could easily just be a kind of funky loop for like a modern kind of rap or hip hop song, couldn't it? or even like played by a horn section. Okay, so broad strokes aside, let's narrow down in on his note choice a little bit. We know in the last lick that he favoured pentatonic scales, so let's look for those. Okay, we're in luck. First part's in this box. But hang on a second here, this note, that big bend one, that sounds a little bit different, doesn't it? So he's bending the flat 7, this one here, right, to target the root. And he's bending a tone further again. So rather than getting this note from the scale, we're getting this one. So he's targeting the 2nd degree of the scale. Alright, let's just pop a pin in that for now and we'll continue on. So we've got the pentatonic box shape, the funky scratches, that big bend, targeting the 9th. More pentatonic, then we're down to this shape here. Okay, so here again he's targeting the 9th, it's this 5th fret on the B string, which you can see in bar 11 on the tab here. Then it's more or less back to pentatonics. So we're more or less in these two boxes, this one here that we already covered, and this one here. Which, let's face it, those two are the best boxes. But he's also chucking this E and this one here in the mix as well. So just to quickly clear this up, you'd call this the 2nd or the 9th, and that's because it's a tone above the root. So we're in D minor, we go up a tone, you find an E, no matter where you are, you've got a D down here, you go up a tone, you find an E. It's the 2nd or the 9th if it's an octave higher. So this time, while the chord is very static, D really, he's getting the sound he wants, that sort of longing 9th, to give it that melancholic and almost kind of contemplative edge to the solo. So how is he playing these notes? What articulations is he using? A potential rake here to start it off. Got some pull-offs, little quarter tone bends, bigger bends, and then that really vocal one, you know, where it goes really all the way up, a 2-tone bend. That snappy staccato playing, which ties in really great with that kind of funk disco feel. Double stops as well, I suppose, and a fair bit of space. You can see a decent amount of rests in those bars up there. Why? I mean, you could do a video essay on this point alone. Obviously, there's a much larger concept going on here in terms of the album and the song, but if we just take a bite-sized look at it, he's adjusting his lead style to complement the genre or style of the track. His tone, the kind of short phrases, funky double stops, just sort of melt seamlessly into the song while hinting at that 9th. Alongside, you know, those kind of swooping bends. They still let him retain his trademark sound, but altered just enough that it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. But for example, number 3, what we've got is wearing the Inside Out. So what is he playing? Well, we're in G minor, and it's a sort of happy medium between the last two songs. We've got a simple 2-chord progression going from a G minor to an F, probably implying the Aeolian mode. So let's first off run our pentatonic check, as it is our new staple here. Box number 1 is here. And like before, he's kind of sliding up to the 2nd box. That. Tell you what, see if you can figure out what note this is. That A. So we're in G minor, we're playing an A. I'll give you an additional 2 hints if you want them. It's not in the pentatonic, and it's a tone above the root. So let me know if you've clocked it already. But for those of you that haven't, it's the 9th again. This time using it to bend up to the more consonant flat 3rd. And then he's just kind of wrapping up with the pentatonics. How is he playing this? Okay, let's go into the tone a little bit here. So this is back to his more kind of typical lead sound. Fair bit of drive, some compression, maybe a wee boost for the high end or the high mids, a healthy whack of reverb and delay, right? And I've got a tiny bit of phaser on as well. He's using much more pronounced dynamics than before, hitting that first bend really quite hard. And then really, and I mean really kind of rolling off for the next notes when he returns it to pitch. And the slides after. So you have that Then kind of rebuilding the picking force as he goes on through the rest of the lick. We've got much more understated bends this time, no huge, pulling your strings off the fretboard stuff, just a nice little tone. So those grace notes, you don't really play that note as such, you're just going to slide from it, and then I suppose back to it when you go back down. Some string noise that I think is probably another kind of muted percussive scrape. A kind of sweep thing he's got here as well. It's maybe more of a rake, and he's just kind of doing it for an effect to be able to hit that note with a bit of attack. And again, quite an understated bend. We're just going by a semitone, and then adding in some really lovely controlled vibrato as well. Followed up by some superb staccato playing for a bit of breathing room that. And the $1,000,000 question, why is he doing this? Well, my 2 cents, for what they're worth, is that the more pronounced dynamics are sort of showcasing a vulnerability, which ties in with at least one reading of the lyrics. Maybe to do with coming out of one's shell, perhaps after a trauma or kind of a slow downward spiral, re-emerging, but somewhat timidly. And that's exactly what that line kind of says to me there. It's kind of like, here I am, but I'm not too sure I want to sort of fully integrate myself. It's this kind of very timid kind of coming forth, isn't it? Obviously, this stuff is subjective and you might have a totally different opinion, so do let me know if that's the case, or indeed if you agree. It's always nice to get a second opinion on these either way. But I don't think David Gilmour kind of sat there and went, yes, I shall use the sound with delay. I shall focus on the 9th, while still anchoring the solo and the pentatonic for a more naturally vocal melodic solo, all the while leaving just enough space to show a timid awakening of something once again becoming themselves. I mean, maybe he did. We'll never really know. But my gut tells me he's just sort of meditating on the feeling. You've no doubt had it when you kind of get a bit lost in a song. You just kind of shift or, click into this sort of oddly transcendent, albeit often fleeting moment. But the good news is, by breaking this stuff down, we can maybe start to create that feeling in our own solos. So let's take the most common themes, with pentatonics focusing on these 2 positions. Using the 9th, capturing a vibe, kind of simple lines based in the blues, but over more modal, kind of heavier type of chord progression. Some bigger bends, and more kind of spacious and staccato lines. Okay, really kind of quick breakdown of what I was going for. I was trying to think about, I suppose, the general feeling I got from those 3 licks, trying to combine them into one kind of uber lick, so the different kind of vibes from them. And thinking about the A minor pentatonic to start off with. Little scratches hammering on, sliding out, thinking about leaving the space like Gilmour, right? Then kind of developing the theme. I was messing about with my pot control as well. I can't remember what I was doing off the top of my head. I think I started off on my bridge. So kind of like a typical bluesy lick there, the delay making it sound a bit more contemporary. Then taking that theme and developing a little bit, but I think I played the staccato. And then probably, so there I'm going down to the 9th, and I kind of let that fade out, and then bend it up a little bit to the flat 3rd, I think. Probably then doing something like that to get back to the root, the tonic, right? Then to amp everything up a gear, I've used that trick we learned where you're sliding to the next position. So I'm sliding up to here. Then starting to use some of the big bends to try and make it more soaring. So what did I do? So again, I probably bent to the 9th there, then pushed it, a semitone higher there, so I'm bending up to that note. And then I think I slid down to the flat 7th to make it feel a bit more kind of melancholic. Then the final thing was using the really big bend, so going... I think I was on my neck pickup here, I probably had my volume at full. I might have rolled down the tone at some point, I'm not too sure what I was setting I was on. So bent that up by a tone, I think I did. Probably put vibrato on that, and then tried to go for the full, which I can't get just now, that's too much for my little fingers, and then wrapping it up, probably something like that to the root. So the basic framework of that is I've just taken things from the different licks, the pentatonics, the kind of bluesy licks, staccato playing, using the 9th, and kind of leaving space as well, dynamic playing, hitting some notes louder, some softer, using the shape to change position, the big bends, again with the 9th, and some more dynamic playing, then the final kind of triumphantly, finger bleeding bends to kind of wrap it all up. So I mean, not like the man himself, but hopefully at least provides you with a kind of solid starting point. If you feel like supporting the channel or want to copy the tabs, head along to patreon.com/JBFmusic. More player analysis videos there, or click there for some more iconic and underrated solos. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel. Leave me any suggestions in the comments, and make sure to enable all notifications with that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.